Hello, I'm Matt. I've never produced content for Warhammer YouTubers before, but I'm hoping to produce more videos in the coming months. And I wanted to make a video before the Age of Sigmar actually hit the store shelves. I apologize for the rather bland kind of video recording. All my things are in storage, so I don't really have anything to kind of spice it up a bit. But I'm sure by now all of you have seen the leaked images from the Age of Sigmar, and I'm adding my voice to those that are encouraging caution and patience. Quite honestly, I've seen a lot of people say that they are now really thinking about starting fantasy with the box set, people that have never played before. And I think that that's a fantastic thing to kind of hear for once. With regard to the new aesthetics, the new models of the human faction do appear to be very much Space Marines. Some people have been criticizing that fact, and I have a hard time criticizing GW when it comes to policies that make money for them. I don't think that they're not going to do that. And the fact is that Space Marines make an enormous amount of money for them in 40K. They are by far the most popular 40K army. It's their bread and butter in 40K. I don't think it's that surprising that it will show up in fantasy. And quite frankly, they will probably be a very successful army. I can see it being very popular. One thing I do like about it is that there's a bit of a crossover. A lot of people in 40K are saying they're going to buy it to convert to their Blood Angels and things of that nature. And I think that's fantastic. I can definitely see a lot of that. In Orcs and in other factions, a lot of interchangeable parts, bits and pieces, fantastic. And I think it also protects their IP. Those new models have the twin-tailed comet on everything, and I think that that's a smart move for them to do. Probably the biggest thing that people are concerned about is the fact that it's going to be, looks like it's going to be more of a skirmish game than ranks. I think it's still a little bit uncertain. There's still older rumors that do say it could be ranks. But look, a smaller model count game, and I think we all agree that there should be a smaller count game that you don't need hundreds of models to play. It lends itself to a skirmish game. Right? No one takes ranks of 10, 10 guys, even though you could. And it happens in White Dwarf, but it never really happens on the practical battlefield. I loved ranked mass battles, but that doesn't mean I won't like other elements in Age of Sigmar perhaps just as much. And I think that that's something to keep in mind. If the ranked aspect of the game was the absolute linchpin that made you play, then I think it's unfortunate for you. I really do, because I wish that people were inclusive, and I respect your opinion in that regard. But for me, I liked ranks. That doesn't mean I'm not going to like non-ranked combat. I play both 40K and fantasy, so I can kind of go either way. It doesn't really bother me that much. The great thing about the skirmish models, and it's the same way if you look at the old skirmish models for Warhammer Fantasy, they're very individualistic. They have a lot of flair to them. Ranked models are very rigid. And I think we all have had the problem of trying to, rank up a bunch of models of spiky bits and stuff, and it's just ridiculous. They're half of them are kind of on their side practically. It doesn't really work that well when you try to actually work it into a regiment. Skirmish really kind of prevents a lot of those problems, and you do get that individualistic flair that I really like. If you look at those new models in the box set, I mean, half of them could have been characters in previous editions of Fantasy. They're really nice, and I think that's a really, I think for painting and converting, that's great. I think that'd be a lot of fun. It does make me worry about the fact that all the old models are useful, are as they've said, they won't be obsolete. But if you're essentially proxying, high elf spearmen as elf skirmishers, they're not going to look that great because they're not designed to look like skirmishers. They're all like in pretty static poses. And I'm not really sure how fluid that's going to really look compared to the new model. So I'm a little bit skeptical of their claims about that. But, so many of the issues and points of contention, we really won't know even beyond this weekend. It'll be probably weeks and months before we really have a good idea what the other armies even look like. I mean, if they change the aesthetics for orcs so that they look more like 40k orcs or something like that, that could actually be kind of nice. And again, there's more interchangeable bits for both sides. If you look at like the orc special units for 40k, there's some really cool kind of cool units, and I think that could be applied in fantasy as well. I could see definitely kind of like bigger, kind of broader, more kind of badass units. But again, time will tell. A lot of people are looking at the war scrolls that have been released, and these seem to state no maximum. We're not really sure what that means. I don't think it's going to be necessarily that someone can show up with a unit of 500 guys and just kind of like laugh as he overruns everything else. I mean, there's got to be some sort of balance to it, but time will tell. I would point out that when you're choosing units in past army books, a lot of the time there was a minimum but no maximum. So is it something like that, or is it completely different? The fact that there's no... I would also point out that the war scrolls we've seen are purely for the box set Age of Sigmar, and a lot of those box sets don't have point values. So until we see the war scrolls for ogres and orcs and the other factions, maybe lizardmen and so on and so forth, I think we're supposed to see those this weekend. They're supposed to be downloadable PDFs supposedly. We don't really know what all those things mean. And people have been arguing that the 4 pages of rules are pretty basic, but from what I've seen, every unit has 2 to 3 special rules, and or at least one. And if that's the case, that could be pretty fun. It could be pretty diverse, and as long as they're not too overbalanced, I think it would be a lot of fun. And I would point out that the box set's designed to play straight out of the box, so it doesn't necessarily always have the point values that are on there. I mean, in previous editions, it would simply say, these are the equipment that they have, these are the basic rules. We don't know if that's those war scrolls that are in that box set are the standard, or if that's just the box set war scroll. We also don't know what's in the 96 pages. I've heard other videos that have said that that's full of scenarios and things to diversify the gameplay, and all that would be good. So I think people should just keep in mind and be optimistic, and hopefully those that have played in the past will continue to play, and if not, I'm hopeful that the game will bring in more people. I mean, I think if nothing else, the game almost must be a success. I have a hard time thinking that if it absolutely flops, that they will turn around and produce 9th, as many were expecting within a time frame that's reasonable. I mean, it could be a year, it could be never. And I'd rather see that this game is a success now and enjoy it, and maybe they can incorporate some of the elements that they have changed or eliminated in future erratas or something like that. We'll see.